Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up
your
mind.
Yes, I do know there was a school shooting right here in our backyard in an area called Parkland. Parkland's beautiful. Parkland is a place where I used to always say to the audience that I wanted a stinking house with a pool in Parkland, and I wanted a stinking Lexus. I always thought that if I could live in Parkland, that I would have made it, because Parkland was expensive and it was beautiful. The houses were brand new, and you had to buy a lot and then build on the lot. It wasn't like these houses that are built by developers and they all look the same. And it was just a really idyllic neighborhood. It's a beautiful place. It's for those of you who don't know South Florida, it's just south of Boca Raton and west of Fort Lauderdale, and it's it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And, one of the things that was very attractive was the school district. It was brand new. Their high school had about 2,000 to 3,000 kids that were going to enroll back then. And there was a school shooting in Douglas Stoneman High School. That's the school. That's the high school I wanted Jessica to go to when I had these big dreams of, And there was a school shooting today at at that high school. And they're reporting on CNN. See, I don't like to report it as it's breaking because you don't know. You don't know what's right, what's wrong. So I figured we would just wait. The shooter is the sheriff says the shooter is in custody. That the shooter, has injured at least 14 people. CNN reported earlier. See, this is the thing. CNN reported earlier that there were at least 20 injuries. And now they're saying there's 14 victims in the school shooting. And I don't know if those victims are injuries or if they're fatalities. But it was a mass shooting in the school in this beautiful suburb in just west of Fort Lauderdale and just south of Boca Raton. We're sitting here just a little bit north of Boca Raton, just so you know. And there's aerial footage that was taken by the local TV station, and the aerial footage shows people, a lot of kids, just people, I can't tell what they are, lying on the ground outside the school being treated for injuries, and some of them are being moved to ambulances, and you could see the kids, some of them are walking out with their hands over their head in a line because they've been taught. Okay, this is like they actually have shooting drills in schools now. Oh yeah, they do. And we have so many school shootings that it just doesn't even freak people out anymore. We had a shooting last week on the highway. We had I-95, which is our major, thoroughfare here. I-95 was closed for like 7 hours because some guy shot his girlfriend and threw her in the trunk of his car. And, then started driving the wrong way down I-95, and there was a pursuit and all this, and the police finally shot and killed the shooter. I mean, so welcome to Florida, everybody. Welcome to Florida. But this was a high school shooting, and the stories are starting to come out, and they're saying, one of the girls says she was in trigonometry class. I know, it's shocking that we teach trigonometry. But she said she was in trig class about 10 minutes before the end of the school day. This happened just before 3 o'clock. And she said she heard the fire alarm go off and the students were evacuating. And as they were evacuating, that's when she said she heard 6 gunshots. And everybody started running back inside the school. This girl, she's 18 years old. Her name's Nicole. I'll just tell you her first name. I know her last name. But she said, I heard so many gunshots, at least like 6. They were very, very close. She said she's still on lockdown in a classroom on the 2nd floor. Her stepsister also attends the same high school, and her stepsister is on lockdown in a different classroom. Somebody else told WSVN, which is our local Channel 7, everybody just started freaking out. We all thought it was a fire drill because we had one previously today. And we thought it was, so no one was that nervous. But then word started going around that it was shots and not just like something else. Everyone just started running toward the canal because that's what we have here. We have waterways, canals. And one of the mothers said that her daughter safely evacuated and that they were taking shelter in a nearby Walmart. It's Florida. And she said she was very nervous. She said she could hear the person who was shot crying out for help. She was just a nervous wreck. And right now there are, dozens and dozens and dozens of law enforcement vehicles on the site. There's a tank in the street. I just want you to know. It's Florida. There's a tank in our street. And our law enforcement officers are armed to for war. The Miami ATF are responding to the scene. It's about 70 miles away, Miami. But there's a tank in our street. You have the video, do you? Okay, you can show it. This is going to break your heart. Oh, I have it. I have it. Thank you. One moment, please. There you go.
Holy
Holy shit! Oh my God! Oh my God!
School. High school, everybody. It's high school. Yeah, and so they say the shooter's in custody. We have no idea who it is or what the reason was or whatever. But that's a lot of shots. That's more than 6 shots. It's a mass shooting. It's another mass shooting. So it must be Wednesday. It must be Valentine's Day, everybody.
It scares the hell out of me, Randy, because, as you know and the listeners know, I have a 1-year-old right now. So I have, 13 years until he goes into high school. I mean, middle school is no safer for that matter, or elementary school, but it's just... I just hope things can change by the time he's ready for school.
I remember when I used to send you to school. I remember when I used to send you and Jess and, Brett. Everybody would go to school, and I never once thought about you being killed in school or shot. I thought about bullying. I broke up a bunch of fights at the bus stop. I remember that. And what is it with the girls? When girls are fighting, the first thing they want to do is rip your shirt off. I'm standing out there. I'm like, at that time I was like in my early 40s, still banging. And they ripped my shirt off. And I'm standing out there going, well, this is your future, everybody, to try and scare them. They go for your hair and they go for your shirt. And I've been involved in that, okay? I have broken up many a fight in my day when Scotty and Jessica and Brett were all in high school. I mean, I would go down to the bus stop because, you'd get a phone call. They're fighting. I don't want to go to school today. I don't want to. Yeah, you're going to school, and so am I. Come on, let's go. And I'd go down there and break up the fights, but I never saw a kid with a gun. I never saw, I never heard of school shooting. In fact, I think the first time I ever really became aware of a school shooting was the elementary school, Sandy Hook. I heard of Virginia Tech. Right, that was like a college thing, and
Columbine was the big one for us.
Columbine, right?
I was a sophomore, or either a sophomore or junior when Columbine happened.
Yeah, I think that's the first time I ever.
And I'll tell you what, just being in the public school system at that time, things changed. It was kind of like a 9/11 moment in a way, even though it was before 9/11. But things definitely changed after that moment. Kids started, reporting things. This guy's acting strange. I saw a letter. I found a note. That's where it kind of started, was at the end of my school life.
Yeah, but it smartens you up about what you wore to school. Because remember, the Columbine shooters, they wore these, long black coats and boots and all this stuff. And it smartened them all up because they were wearing freaky clothes.
Yeah, it definitely changed the dress from the Marilyn Manson goth type.
Right, that was it. Marilyn Manson, who we all know as a family. Brian is his real name. Yeah, it changed everybody. It snapped them right out of that goth phase. Thank God. So if that's the only good thing that came out. But you're right, that is the first school shooting that ever registered with me. That, all of a sudden I started thinking about, oh my God, are they safe in school and da-da-da-da-da. But when they attacked Sandy Hook, when the elementary school kids, and America decided, seriously, when America decided that the price of freedom was dead 6-year-olds and school teachers in elementary school, I knew we had lost the war on guns. I just knew it. And you never hear another word about the Vegas guy, right? Nothing. Like, what was his motive and why did he do it and how many people saw and who helped him carry these guns? Nothing. It's like they come and they go, these shootings and school shootings and shootings on the highway. We had two major shootings in my neighborhood, in this area, in the last 2 weeks. And this president, I remember when maybe that's what they mistook as the sperm on Obama's head. Maybe it was the tear that he cried for all the dead babies and for all the dead junior high and for all the dead high school students. Maybe that's what it was. It was a tear. I mean, it's unbelievable how many press conferences the past president had about shootings and school shootings and about mass killings and about, Sikh temples and this, nothing. You won't get anything out of this president. You won't get a word about guns. You won't get, Congress won't do a damn thing about it. They won't, nothing. They'll say that the only thing that stopped the shooting was a good guy with a gun, and therefore you need more guns. I mean, this retarded thinking of the right wing decimates everything that is holy and good in this society. It decimates your economy all the time with the, the double Santa Claus, right? They come in, they give you tons of money, or they give the rich tons of money, tell you you're going to get some crumbs. Don't you worry. You're going to get, $12 while I give this guy over here 22 million tax-free dollars. Yes, you're going to pay for it in the end, but we're also going to cut your Medicare, your Medicaid, your Social Security. We're going to send you Boxo food with canned fish or a canned meat or a canned chicken, nothing fresh. Your vegetables will be canned. Your fruits will be canned. You'll get a grain. You're going to have to learn to get a mortar and pestle and make grain. Really, I mean, and it always comes from you. And then they're going to say, oh, well, we need infrastructure. So your gas tax is going to go up and your state tax is going to go up and your local tax is going to go up. And you're going to go, well, what do I get for all that? Well, you used to get to deduct a portion of it, but that's gone too because he had to transfer all the money. Everything these people do endangers the middle class family who's trying to make sure that their kid does just a little bit better than they did. That is the American dream. And that is what everybody strives to do. Just a little bit better than their parents did. Just a little bit better. And make it a little bit easier for my kid than it was for me. I remember when I was a kid, and I walked to school in the snow, uphill, without shoes, one way, every day. That will not happen to you. So another school shooting, at least 14 victims. Tanks on our street now, as if that's going to prevent anything, because we just had a shooting last week where our highway was closed for 7 freaking hours. Thank God I know a back way to get here, or else, we wouldn't have been able to be at work. But, so this high school has about 3,100 students and 14 victims, and I don't know what the extent of the injuries are. And, of course, don't expect anything to change. Don't expect anything to happen. Your kids will just get more drills on how to walk calmly out of school with their hands over their head while a shooter is shooting up the school.
Holy
Okay, this is what the kid is saying in this video. He's saying our effing school is getting shut up, but he's actually saying it. Our effing school is getting shut up.
Holy shit! Oh my God! Oh my God!
And that was off of somebody's cell phone. That's all I know. That's all I know is that's the video. And then, and the sheriff is there and there are tanks in our street. Maybe we could fly the president, when he goes to Mar-a-Lago, maybe he could take, a 10-minute drive down to Parkland. Well, it'd be more like 20. A 20-minute drive down to Parkland and stand in front of the tank on the street in front of the high school and call it a military parade and save us $17 million. Maybe that. It's off the hook, man. It's crazy. I mean, it's nuts. And no, you can't blame a school shooting on the president of the United States, and that is not what we're doing. However, the lack of movement on gun safety is stunning under the Republic. Now, remember, the Russians also infiltrated the NRA. That's something else that was testified to by Glenn Simpson when he was speaking to the House Intelligence Committee. They really, the Senate, Dianne Feinstein released Glenn Simpson's testimony to the Senate, but the House testimony was just chock full of things we never even knew. And one of the things that he said was he was seeing the Russians infiltrate so many conservative organizations in the United States, and one of the big ones was the NRA. And remember, the NRA, convention, rally, whatever the freak they call their get-togethers, that's where Kislyak and that's where Sessions, that's where a lot of people met each other. Not for the first time, but that's, the NRA. So the NRA's been infiltrated by Russians who would love to see us kill each other. I mean, there's just no question. And the Republicans just go along with this. Just go along. Oh, so what did we lose today? 14 kids? All right. Thinning out the herd. But I'm telling you, Parkland is like super nice. So this happens everywhere. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.